authors, welcome to Author Nation. I'm Melody Ann, and in this video we are going to be talking about what to put on your website if you've written a memoir. So if you've written a memoir, you've written part of your story, part of your life story that has some definite themes in it, and now you want to have an author platform, and a big part of that author platform is your website. So what do you put on your website? I have two lists for you. I have a must-have and I have a consider this list. And so let's start with the must-have list. These are things you really want to have on your website. And the number one thing you want to have on your website is a buy this book now button. Buy now, buy this book, buy the book here, whatever you want to say, get the book. You want to have a button on every single page so that if people are interested, they can buy the book. How many times I've been to websites that have awesome stuff that just don't tell me, here's the button, there's where you press to get what you want, buy it here. So if you want people to actually buy the book, you have to have a button that says, buy this book here, buy this book now. No matter where that takes them, whether they buy it off of your website or some other way, you want to have a buy now button, number one, on every single page. If you get nothing else out of this, get that. You want a buy now button. So now you have a buy now button. How do you get people to press the button? Well, you have to have a reason for them to press the button. You have to have stuff around it that makes the book interesting. You want to have a description of the book. You want people to know what the book's about, what the themes are, what the big question is that you're answering, what the suspense or the tension area is, right? So that they're like, oh, I wonder what happens, and they want to read the book. So you want to have the description of the book. The book cover is really good as well, and I would recommend having an excerpt of your book. If you have the first chapter where they can just sit and read the first chapter, they get to the end of the first chapter and they're like, I need to know what happens. I want to know what happens next. This is something I want to read. And then there's a nice big buy now button. They'll just go ahead and buy the book. So at the very least, you need to have an image of your book, the description, and I say an excerpt from your book as well, at the very, very least. So what else is useful? If you're an author who's written a memoir, you want to have a bio. This is the who am I and why I wrote this memoir part of the book. Be personal, explain, this is why I wrote it, and this is what it meant to me, and this is the transition I went through, and this is what I want to give to the rest of the world, right? Have a good author bio, something nice and personal. The next thing I think is an absolute must-have is a mailing list sign-up. So if people want to get in touch with you, if people want to stay in touch with you, if people want to read your second or your third or your fourth book, or if they just want to kind of know you before they even read the first book, you want to have something where they can sign up and get monthly newsletters and get in touch with you and stay in touch with you. Now, what you're going to put in your newsletter, that's another video. We'll do that another time. But you do want to have a way to connect with people, and an email is gold if people are willing to give that to you. Contact information next. People want to contact you, whether they want to email you or fill in a contact page. A journalist comes and sees, oh, this is great. This book ties into this series of articles I'm writing, and I really want to talk to this author, but there's no way to contact them. There's no contact page. There's no email on this website. And then off they go because they're not going to take the time to hunt you down. So you do want to have a contact information. Book clubs might want to get a hold of you, journalists, individual readers. So you want to have some way for them to contact you. At the very least, social media links, but I suggest you have a contact page or an email as well. So those are the must-haves. Now let's talk about the things that I think you should consider having on your website. Number one, extras. So photographs from the era, music from the era, videos, home videos, whatever you have that kind of ties into your memoir that you can put up. Sometimes, for example, my memoir, there were stories that I wrote that didn't make it into the memoir because they didn't fit, they didn't kind of fit with the theme, or they were, extra, but they're still good stories. Those are great things to put on your website and to send out in newsletters as well, by the way. So have extras. If your book is about the 70s and you went to some major music concert in the 70s, you could have like the playlist from, the 70s, and people who are interested in music will then be interested in your website, in your music, in your book. And so think about, all the things you can have that can tie into your memoir, that tie into the themes and extras that you can put on your website. Photographs, news stories from the time, videos, your thoughts, poems, extra stories, anything that fits. Don't put everything in anything. Oh, I'm going to put architecture, even though it has nothing to do with my book, because Melody said put everything from my era. It's like, no, not everything. Be selective. Really consider what you want to say and how you want to say it, and thoughtful about what you're putting together. Next, media page. So if you've been on a podcast, if you've been on TV, if you've had an article written about you, have a place where people can go and find these and link to them. If you've been on many, you don't want all of them. You just want your top, however, I don't know, top 10, let's say, of, podcasts, interviews, news articles, whatever it happens to be, so that people can get more of you if that's what they want. Because if they love your book, they may want more of you. And this is a great way for them to get that. Again, this is something you can share on newsletters as well. And then, of course, a media page for the media to contact you. So if your book has themes, you want to have maybe your thoughts on those themes, questions they could ask you about those themes, how to get in touch with you, the topics you talk about in different interviews, your area of expertise, whatever it is, lay it out so that journalists can say, oh yes, this person talks about these 3 topics and I'm writing a series of articles about topic B. Here's the contact information. I'll get in touch with them. Ooh, and they've given me some possible Q&A questions so that I can just, ask those. And it's going to be a really easy interview for me, the journalist who doesn't really want to work that hard because I already work too hard. So make it easy for people in the media to get a hold of you, to find you, to know what you talk about, to know your area expertise, and to even give them questions and answers that they can come to you and ask you about. So a media page, really, really important. So we have extras, we have a media page, social media. I think that if you have a Facebook page or a group, or you're on Instagram and this is an integral part of your marketing, you do want to put it on your website. It shouldn't be bigger than the buy this book now button. It should be secondary to that. The buy now button is probably bigger than the mailing list and the social media, but they all can be really important. Something else you can put on are your favorite quotes, things that relate to the theme of the book, or extra reading. If there's a book that an expert wrote about one of the themes in your book that you read that you thought was really important, maybe your book is about getting motivated again. It's a memoir, but there's a guy who wrote a book about being motivated that's fact-based, science-based, that you read that really helped you. Add that to, the reading list, or other memoirs that you enjoyed in the same vein as yours. Extra reading material. It's a really great way to do that. And also, if you are putting other authors' books on, contact them and say, hey, I'll put your book on, I'll recommend your book, you recommend my book, here's a copy, you can read it, make sure you like it. And then you can have some cross promotion as well, which is something I think that all authors should be doing, is cross promoting. Because if you read one book about frogs, you'll read 100 books about frogs because you love frogs, right? People who read memoirs read lots of memoirs, not just one. So work with other people in your genre to cross promote, and having extra reading material or recommended reading on your website is a way to do that. Last but not least, a blog. I didn't put it in the must-have, but honestly, blogging is an amazing way to build up your author platform. You have new content all the time. It doesn't have to be difficult to make a blog. You have new content. It helps with your search engine optimization. It helps your website be found on Google and other search engines. So it's a really good idea. I interviewed a guy, Bennett R. Coles, about his blog. He has 2 blogs. One of them he blogs daily. It's pretty amazing. The link to that interview is in the description. I think you'll really like it. And so that's it. Those are the things that I suggest, the must-haves and the things you should consider to have on your website. And I'm sure there are many more. Drop them in the comments if you have ideas. I would love to hear them. Thanks so much for listening.